Hello everybody and welcome back to another commented episode, this time of War Thunder. And today I've got a special episode for you because this was actually a pretty tense fight, Nailbiter if you want to call it that. Flying one of my favorite 109s in War Thunder, the 109F-1, which comes with a single 20mm cannon in a nose hub with just 60 rounds, but with some careful shooting you can get a lot of kills nonetheless with that thing. And as you can see, I'm currently flying on Norway, which is probably one of my most hated maps, because I cannot stand this map for a couple of reasons. And I always seem to have fairly tedious matches on that particular map. And as you can see, I'm engaging the AI recon planes here, some fights because nobody else on my team wanted to do so. So that's basically three kills for me. And in this particular round, I was pretty much the only one and last remaining guy on my team after a fairly short amount of time, and was actually facing off against 4 guys and had to actually somehow turn this round around in order to actually win this game. And you'll see how I did that in just a couple of moments. However, before we start into the nerve-wracking part of this episode, we're going to deal with one of the 4 remaining enemies, who is currently flying a Curtiss SB2C Helldiver torpedo aircraft. And he's not really much of a threat to us in the 109, and he's easily set on fire, and that's the end of him. An interesting fact about the SB2C is that pilots actually called it son of a bitch second class owing to its designation, and that was due to the aircraft being very hard to handle and not being all too forgiving. Alright, so from here on out, a couple of minutes later, shit really starts to become serious. I was circling above my own ships, because as I said, I'm the only guy on my team remaining, and I wanted to use the ships as a sort of indicator of whether or not there's an enemy around, because the ships immediately start shooting once an enemy is in a certain radius to them. And sure enough, there's an enemy right in front of me, and at the time I did not know this, but the 3 enemies consist of a P-40, the one aircraft that's currently flying straight ahead of me, a Spitfire and an LA-5F. And I'm currently trying to sneak up on the P-40, but I think he saw me and he's breaking into me. I try to get a good snapshot off. I do hit him, and I try to give him another burst, but nothing too critically. And I see another enemy aircraft coming up behind me. Unfortunately, that's the Spitfire, and he seemed to have quite a bit of speed, so he's in hot pursuit, trying to catch up with my 109. And as you can see, my engine is already starting to overheat, and the timer is running down. I've got less than 2 minutes remaining, so kind of in a pickle here, because the Spitfire is obviously not going to break off the chase, because in War Thunder nobody ever breaks off a chase. They would rather chase you to the end of the world than give up a chase, and the ships aren't really much of a help either, because for some reason when people fly extremely low, the ships don't really bother shooting them at all. And I eventually make my mind up and think, okay, I have to fight this guy, because first of all my engine is going to overheat in a minute, and I'm not going to lose this guy anytime soon, so rather try and dispatch him in a straight out fight. And anytime now I'm going to break into him, and that's probably the match-deciding fight right there. Because to me personally, the Spitfire is the most dangerous aircraft in this particular match, and he did get a few hits into me, nothing too critical, but now I decide to break into him because I have less than half a minute now remaining on the timer. I try to evade his attack, trying to rob him of his snapshot that he had there, and I start turning with him, trying to get an angle on him, but of course the 109F doesn't turn as well as the early Spitfires, and I've now cooled down my engine, timer has been reset, and I try to run again because now I have a little bit of space to work with in terms of engine overheat. But of course I cannot keep this up indefinitely, and any time now I decide, screw it, I'm going to fight this guy. Yeah, there I go, I turn into him. He's going to fly past me, he's going to overshoot, which gives me a small firing window. And I get some good hits into him, and we're about to go head on, and this is where I completely wreck him. I critically damage his aircraft. He's got a big hole in the wing now, even though the crit message doesn't tell you that. And now I'm setting up for a long shot, just spraying away with my machine guns, but I get some good hits into him. And he's messed up, and he's about to stall his aircraft in the turn and ram himself to death. So that's another enemy down, 2 to go, the P40 and the LA5F remain. Fortunately for me, one of the 2 remaining enemies, the one flying the P40, gets himself shot down by some friendly AAA, so that leaves me with just 1 enemy. So it's a one-on-one situation, and at the time I did not know what the enemy was flying, but he was flying an LA5F, and I just spotted him there. I fortunately messed up that rollover dive, and fortunately he did not get a good shot at me. And I have to say I don't have much experience fighting the Russian aircraft. I don't know if I could actually dominate the LA5F in a turn fight in my 109F1s, but I've got the faster aircraft and the better climbing one, so why even risk the fight in a turn fight when you can dominate him in the vertical? And that's what I'm doing right here. I'm trying to get a good angle on him. He's way below me and pretty slow, trying to dive on him, but he's certainly not a beginner. He anticipates my dive and sees my approach, and he's about to roll over and go into a dive, which is the most sensible thing he could do. And from here on I'm climbing back up, and I do lose sight of him because of the thick cloud layer. And I can, however, hear his engine. There he is again. And I don't want to keep up a turning fight because of the aforementioned reasons. I'm again approaching him from an angle. Does see my approach, he turns around, he goes vertical, and in a lucky snapshot he actually gets some hits into me, nothing too critical, but as said, I don't want to risk losing this round, which has been going so well so far. And again, it's the case of me being on top of him while he's trying to get up to my level. I did lose sight of him there because of the clouds, but I can still kind of hear his engine, so I do know he's nearby. And there he is. I'll try to get a shot here. And I do get some hits into him. Nothing too spectacular. And there it is. I finally managed to set him on fire and crit him. And that's his end. Fortunately for me also the fire doesn't go out. He has absolutely no control left over his aircraft and goes straight into the ground. So that was a complete turnaround for my team after I was fighting 4 enemies all by myself, which is nice. Hostile team has lost all of its vehicles, the round is about to end, and yeah, 6 kills to my credits, which isn't bad. And as said, I really like the 109F1. I very rarely have bad games in it. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next video.